Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are strapping in for a high-speed tour of the future of work, specifically the world of 2026.
And this isn't just about, looking at shiny new tech.
No, not at all. We're doing a really intense deep dive into the very center of how we earn money. And it's all based on this crucial stack of analysis that's looking squarely at the AI landscape shift that's happening right now.
And we have to start with a challenge. It's something that, honestly, every single person listening needs to confront. It's this idea of the ostrich effect.
Right? The tendency to avoid uncomfortable truths.
Exactly. All the analysts we looked at highlight this. It's this fundamental human tendency. If you bury your head in the sand, figuratively, of course, you're just stopping yourself from seeing a disruption that's, well, it's already here.
And that's why we're here, to confront that reality head on. I mean, for the last few years, we've all been living in what the sources are calling the co-pilot era of AI.
Right. Roughly 2023 to 2025.
So what defined that era? And I guess the bigger question is, why is it already ending?
Well, that era was all about augmentation, but it was still pretty inefficient. AI was basically an assistant. It just sat there waiting for a prompt at every single step.
So constant human handholding.
Constant. It was helpful, yes, but it had zero autonomy. And the huge shift that's being predicted is that by 2026, we're not just stepping, we are rapidly entering the autopilot era.
Okay, so autopilot AI, what does that actually look like in practice?
This is where true agentic AI starts to emerge. So instead of, waiting for a human to check in after every single little task.
Which is how it works now.
Right. These new AI agents can execute really complex multi-step workflows from end to end. You just set the context, you set the constraints, and they run the entire show with minimal human intervention.
And the consequence of that, which the analysis we read really emphasizes as like world-changing, is that it just fundamentally destroys the old cost structure of any business.
Completely. For centuries, companies were limited by two main things, right? Human salaries and rent. That was the ceiling on your growth.
And that ceiling is gone.
It's being annihilated by these scalable, non-stop AI agents. I mean, think about it. When you can scale your output without scaling your headcount or your office space, the entire economic model just flips on its head.
This is not a small change.
Not at all. One report we saw indicated AI could impact up to 85 million jobs globally by 2026. So our mission today is to pull out a clear roadmap, 4 essential lessons to help you move from being, impacted by this shift to actually driving it and profiting from it.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the skill stack. I think that's where most people feel that first hit of anxiety. What should we actually be learning right now?
We need a completely different structure for skills. In the reports we reviewed, they use this brilliant analogy. They call it the tilting skill barbell.
Okay, I think I know the traditional barbell. You had deep strategy and planning on one end, and then you had the final shipping and maintenance on the other. And in the middle was this huge stack of tasks, basically most white-collar work.
And that is the stack that's losing its value, and fast. We are talking about data entry, synthesizing info, writing repetitive code, tier 1 support, basic research.
All the first mile problems.
Exactly. The barbell is tilting because all of those duties are moving straight into the hands of autopilot AI agents that can do them 24/7 with no errors.
So if the middle is just gone, where should the high-paid professional of 2026 be spending their time? It has to be the extremes then.
That's right. You have to focus on the skill layers that AI can't touch. Not yet, anyway. And these are what the sources call the substract layers at the bottom and the sovereign layers at the very top.
Okay, tell us about the substract layers first. What are these foundational skills AI can't replicate?
So these are things like pure intuition, advanced pattern finding, deep judgment, and probably most important, systems thinking.
Right.
And AI can process a mountain of data for you, but it doesn't have the human context, the history to make those really foundational decisions. It lacks the substance you need before the data even means anything.
The human has to subtract the noise to find the real truth in there.
Precisely. You need that judgment layer to make sense of the output.
Okay, that makes sense. So what about the sovereign layers at the top?
These are the final layers of delivery and, crucially, trust. So it's about delivering the final, polished product, but more than that, it's about testing for those critical edge cases, designing error-proof systems.
And people skills.
And the ability to communicate, to negotiate, and to sell to stakeholders. This is where human interaction, risk assessment, and real quality control lives.
This is where it gets really interesting for me, this idea of happy parts versus unhappy parts. Can you explain why that's such a key human edge?
It's the core differentiator. And AI is just phenomenal at creating a prototype that satisfies what they call the happy parts.
Meaning when everything goes right.
Exactly. When the logic is perfect, the structure is sound, all the parameters are met, but you, the human professional, you're responsible for testing that output for all the unhappy parts.
Give me a real-world example of an unhappy part.
Okay, think about a global marketing campaign. An AI agent can generate, I don't know, thousands of perfectly targeted ad copy variations. That's the hacky part. But a human who actually understands the ground reality.
Colloquial context.
Right. The nuances of a specific market, a pending legal change, a sensitive cultural event, they might spot a design that is technically perfect, but would be completely tone deaf or offensive in that local market.
Ah, I see. The AI made the perfect product based on its data, but the human intuition, that subtract layer judgment, sees the failure point, the unhappy part that could just tank the whole brand.
That is sovereign knowledge. It's only visible when you know the messy reality of the world, and that's what clients are willing to pay top dollar for.
This all leads us directly into lesson number 1, which is a massive shift in business models. If we're not needed for that middle stack anymore, the way we charge for our work has to change. It's moving from SaaS to service as a software.
For decades, the model was software as a service, SaaS. You bought the tool, the subscription, the license, and then you paid humans to actually use it.
That model made tech giants trillions.
Absolutely. It was all based on selling the means, not the outcome.
But now the tool is the service provider, so the opportunity just flips. We go from selling a seat on the software to selling the actual result.
Precisely. We're seeing this huge move towards what's being called a results as a service model, RAS. We're seeing agencies, professionals who only get paid if they deliver actual measurable results. You're leveraging your AI agent workflows to sell the outcome.
Okay, I think we need a concrete example for this.
Yeah.
How does an individual, say a freelancer, transition from selling their time to selling RAS?
Let's use that video creation example again. In the old model, a video editor sold their hours or maybe a flat fee for the finished video file.
Right.
The new RAS model says, no, I am selling you a comprehensive, automated social media pipeline. Your service is the whole workflow. It handles everything. Generating the video concepts, defining the brand voice, that's your substract layer work, then automatically creating and editing the raw footage with AI tools, designing covers, setting the upload schedule, and, this is the kicker, providing continuous ROI analysis for the client.
So that entire coordinated workflow, designed by a human but executed by agents, that's the product you're selling.
Exactly. It's a fundamentally different and much more leveraged way to make money.
And that service as a software model, it relies completely on lesson number 2, which is about mindset. It's becoming a manager of one.
The old mindset, the one that's been baked into us for centuries, was trading your time for money. Simple.
But in the autopilot era,
You're trading concrete outcomes for money. Time becomes irrelevant.
why does it become irrelevant?
Because the top 1% of professionals are already using AI agents to automate everything. Your effort means nothing. Nobody's going to pay you for how hard you worked when a well-designed agentic workflow can deliver a better result in like a tenth of the time.
Okay, so if I'm not being paid for the actual production, what am I getting paid for? How does that shift from producer to director actually work?
You manage one human yourself, and you own the end-to-end outcome for the client. You create and you coordinate the AI agents. So your core high-value skill shifts from producing, writing the code, making the image, to defining direction.
And defining direction, that sounds like it involves a lot of uniquely human skills.
Absolutely. It means breaking down complex problems into solvable steps. It means setting the really precise context and constraints for the AI to work within. And then finally, it means auditing the output against those constraints you set.
This sounds great, but it also brings up that huge element of risk. You mentioned the human loop workflow. Why is that so critical for your credibility?
Because trust is everything. It's that sovereign layer. The human must think, set the context, run the agents, and then, this is the most important part, validate the output before it ever goes to the client or the market.
Because if you don't,
You risk catastrophic credibility failure. I mean, we've already seen reports of huge brands making really costly mistakes, generating culturally insensitive ads or factually wrong reports because they just let the AI run wild without a human audit. That validation step is your insurance policy.
which flows perfectly into lesson number 3. We need to replace sheer speed with something much more strategic, something the sources call velocity.
Right. Speed is just a losing game. You cannot compete with AI on first draft quality or volume. It's impossible. An AI tool will beat any human every time in generating that first draft. We just have to surrender that race.
So the focus shifts completely to adding context, to practicing good taste, to providing direction.
And that is the definition of velocity. Speed is how fast you move. Velocity is speed in the right direction. So we need to double down on setting quality context and, this is the hard part, cultivating a refined sense of taste.
Why is taste so hard to replicate or even teach?
Because, crucially, taste can't be taught from a textbook. It can only be learned through exposure and pattern finding. And AI is great at iterating on patterns it's already seen.
But it can't create a new one.
It can't understand shifting cultural context or human emotional resonance. Taste relies on you, the human, looking at dozens of successful things and synthesizing why they worked, not just what they were.
It's like an internal calibration system that only a human brain can really refine over time.
And it's totally dependent on the quality of the content and the ideas you consume. It takes time, but it pays off massively. Think of it this way. AI will do the coding, the first mile, but humans will always do the programming, the strategic last mile that's infused with taste and direction.
Okay, our final lesson, lesson 4, is honestly the most surprising one to me. It's about what people used to dismiss as soft skills. It's about prioritizing human-centric abilities.
The data here is fascinating. One major report we reviewed found that 75% of chief human resources officers expect that AI agents will actually increase the need for relationship-building roles.
A relationship renaissance.
It is, because once product generation is automated, it's commoditized. So what's left as your value proposition? It's trust, visibility, brand loyalty, distribution. And those assets are only built through authentic human connection.
MIT actually recognized this and created a framework called EPOCH, and they stress these are not soft skills anymore.
No, they call them hard economic power tools that directly translate to income and leverage.
Let's run through it, starting with E.
E is for empathy. This is the ability to understand a customer's unspoken needs, to read a room emotionally, to sense that conflict in a client's team before they even say it.
Okay.
P is presence. Being fully, authentically engaged in a conversation in a way that builds real trust. An AI can simulate a conversation, but it can't simulate a shared experience.
O is for opinion and ethics.
Critical. This is about making the correct judgment call when there's no clear right answer. It's where you audit those unhappy parts and you decide on the ethical lines for your work.
C is for creativity.
And this is about synthesizing completely new ideas, the revolutionary stuff, not just iterating on what already exists. AI is iterative. Humans have to be generative.
And finally, H.
H is hope and leadership. Inspiring a team toward a vision, especially when things are uncertain and changing fast like they are now, these are the skills that define human power.
So we've laid out the whole roadmap. What does this mean for you listening right now? What are the immediate next steps? We pulled 3 really clear pieces of advice from all this. The first is maybe the most practical.
Don't panic and change your entire career. You don't need to quit being a great accountant or designer to become an AI prompt engineer. You need to use AI to become radically better at what you already do.
And the analysis gave a very actionable way to start. Use a deep research prompt in an advanced model like Gemini or GPT-4 and just ask it, where is agentic AI helping my specific industry, my niche, and my customers right now? Make the AI do the analysis for you.
Which leads right to the second piece of advice, visibility. All your opportunities in this new era are going to depend on your visibility and your demonstrated expertise. You can't just be good. You have to be seen being good.
And the recommendation here is to learn in public. Write about what you're learning. Share your process. I know one of the reports had a hard truth in it. 99% of people are terrible writers. But that just proves the point. Learning to articulate your thoughts clearly not only attracts opportunity, the algorithms will find the right people for you, it genuinely makes your brain sharper.
And finally, you have to invest in understanding the fundamentals. When we talk about these complex agentic workflows, you can't build them if you don't understand the basics of large language models, the LLMs first.
And just for clarity, the LLMs are the foundational engines like GPT or Claude that generate the text. Agentic AI is the next layer up.
Correct. Agentic AI is what lets the system chain multiple steps together using an LLM as the brain to complete a whole workflow. You can't hope to define the direction for a complex agent if you haven't mastered the basic tools first.
So we've walked the road today. We started with the ostrich effect and that huge shift from the co-pilot to the autopilot era.
We look at the tilting skill barbell, valuing those sovereign and subtract layers over the doomed middle stack. We discuss the economic power of moving to service as a software.
And that mindset shift to becoming a manager of one who's always using that human loop workflow to protect their credibility.
And we wrapped with the ultimate human advantage, replacing speed with velocity and mastering those hard economic power tools in the EPOCH framework: empathy, presence, opinion, creativity, and hope.
Okay, so here's the final essential provocation from the source material for you to think about this week.
AI agents are designed to execute, that's their job, but they cannot truly replicate the human ability to reflect, to refine your own understanding, your own goals, or your own morality.
So your challenge is to take the notes you've gathered from this deep dive, the barbell, the lessons, the framework, and spend some real time just writing out your own reflections about your role. Use that human connection to strategic thought as the source of your real economic power. Because at the end of the day, that's the one thing the agents can't touch.